So something just crossed my mind, and I was thinking about it in the car. Me and my girl, we've been together for 3 years, high school sweethearts, and everything has just worked so far. Like, of course, we've gone through our trials and tribulations. We had ups and downs in our relationship, but we always managed to work. And she's been extremely supportive of me. She's been my emotional side when I never had one. So everything has just worked out for us. But I'm thinking about it right now. She's going into her junior year in college. I'm a college dropout. We're the same age, and we are both working our asses off right now. And I'm thinking, like, damn, I really never get to see her because a whole week has gone by. She's working, I'm working, and we even got like a nice date night in this week. I'm thinking, like, I've heard this before. I'm like, I kind of miss my girl. I haven't seen her in a while, but we got a date night in, and I just think back to, like, I've had conversations with older guys, the guys who are working 9 to 5 in the middle of their careers, and they're saying, like, bro, I wish I could even just do a once a night date night, or they make the promise to their spouses, like, let's just do date night like once a week. Then, like, that's perfect. That's the ideal situation. I'm thinking about it in real time right now. Is that the ideal situation? I mean, me and my girl, we don't live together yet, but just once a week is all you can do to spend time with a loved one, to really enhance your life experience, build relationships. I'm 20 years old. I barely know anything about relationships, about life experience. I'm still new to everything, but I'm just thinking about it, and I'm like, I'm living in some people's, like, desired reality where they wish they could be with their spouse, take them out once a week on a date night. And I'm doing that now, and although I'm very blessed and grateful that I was able to do that, and I'm able to, spend time with my girl when I can, this is literally like the first week that she and I, we are working, and we are really tied down to our jobs and don't have time too much for each other. I'm like, this is a reality for a majority of people in America, across the world, is that they rarely get time to spend with their loved ones. And I had a conversation with one of my mentors the other week. He was telling me about Golden Handcuffs. Golden Handcuffs saying that he knew someone who was making big money, about $250,000 a year in salary. And some people would love that. They would absolutely love to make $250,000 a year in their job. But the lady quit. The girl he was talking about quit. She hated the job. She never had time for her family. She was always tied down to location. She just didn't want to be there, and she quit the job in hopes of searching for something else. And she's struggling to find a job, even though she's extremely qualified, but she just cannot beat the application process of other, I guess you would call it, I don't really know what the term is for other people who apply to jobs, but she just can't get through that application process, even though she was making $250,000 a year. And I'm just thinking, like, I know guys, I surround myself with older guys who do work 9 to 5s, and they would love to be making $250,000 a year. Like, one of my boys, he's a 9 to 5 warrior, which is respectable, very respectable. It's personally something that I can't do, but he was telling me, like, one of their friends makes $250,000 a year in salary, and, like, they were even saying, when I had this conversation with my boy, he was even saying, like, oh, I would love to be in this situation, but she was like, she hated it. She wants to leave that job. I'm just thinking, like, bro, that's you're putting money over the life experiences, the life quality. So, again, this is just a thought that crossed my mind, but that just makes me a little bit more motivated, not a little bit, more motivated to really be able to provide financially for the people around me. And of course that comes with sacrifices, and I'm not saying like I'm gonna drop my jobs, because obviously I'm working 2 jobs right now, and I dog walk and I DoorDash on the side. So, you know, I'm side hustle king right now. But I'm just thinking, like, this can't be how life is. I refuse to accept a continuous 10, 20, 30, 40 years down this route and just lead to eventually 10 years, if I'm lucky, of retirement where I don't have to do anything. I refuse that, bro. Because that's really the matrix, which is the system in which people fall down this route of working the 9 to 5, trying to work their way up the ladder and making a little bit more money each year. If the little bit more money is extra 20,000 on top of your yearly salary, it's insane. And I say this all the time, but once you see the truth, you cannot unsee the truth. So I'm seeing how money is made. I took a trip to Miami, Florida about 2 months ago in March. And when I was in Miami, I was able to surround myself with very high value individual men who are making a lot of money, and they love what they do. They're not in a golden handcuff situation. They are entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs, meaning that they don't own their business, they are in a business where they can kind of do their own thing and scale the business within themselves. So they're not really tied down to the corporate chain. They love that part. But these guys are making a lot of fucking money. And the takeaways I took from that trip is that in order to get to those heights, you need to be committed and consistent to what you're doing, and you need to know what the right thing to do is. Because going your way up the corporate ladder, as long as that's not the end goal, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna provide the life that at least I want. I refuse to settle for mediocrity. And I know I'm kind of like going into so many different riffs right now, but my mind is just flowing with thought. But beliefs as well. Let me explain it. I heard Kanye say this about the way he describes the system. I'm like, holy shit, this makes so much sense. So he said it like this, right? Kanye West on an interview. He said, think about the matrix like this. The matrix talking about the system. And if you don't know what it is, I'm about to explain it. So he said, imagine that you are in a restaurant, a sit-down restaurant, kind of nice restaurant. And in that restaurant, a couple tables away, there's a family where a little kid is on the table. Little kid starts like screaming and shit. He starts jumping on the table. And everyone in the restaurant's thinking, what the fuck's wrong with that kid? You should teach that kid some manners. Tell him to sit down. But in the kid's mind, he's a fucking superhero. In his mind, he's thinking like he's climbing on top of Mount Everest. His imagination is going wild. And in life, we follow this imaginary script where everyone in the restaurant is like, why does he not know manners? I mean, obviously the situation, like, you should be sitting down. But the point is that in life, we follow this imaginary script, and there's actors in life telling us you should sit down, you should act, you should behave normally, you shouldn't think that way. Why do you think you're a superhero? And it's an interesting concept, the Matrix, because over time, you've been, what Andrew Tate says, is psyoped into that mindset of you have the wildest imaginations. Like, at least I know when I was a kid in kindergarten, I feel like everyone's saying like they want to be an astronaut. I think I said I was going to be a programmer, which was kind of nerdy, but I was a fucking nerd back in elementary school, and I still kind of am now. But when I was very young, when we were all very young, we had this wild imagination. We thought we could do anything, and over time, you're told, like, think more realistically. It's not realistic to make that amount of money that you want to make. It's not realistic to drive a Lamborghini in your early 20s. So over time, you're just psyoped into belief that you're made for less. You can't. That doesn't happen for everyone. You have to be a one-of-one situation. You have to get lucky to be deemed as successful. And I just have a hard time sitting with that, because it's literally your own self-belief. And I was listening to an Ed Milet podcast today, and you can kind of see like my beliefs, my You know, my thought patterns are heavily influenced by the people I listen and surround myself to. Like I mentioned, Kanye West, Andrew Tate, Ed Milet, which I actually saw in person, which was dope. But Ed Milet said today, he was talking about the thing I was talking about, self-beliefs, and how you have the wildest imaginations when you were a kid, but over time it gets psyoped into a lower level where you think you can't get that. You can't get that outcome that you want. You can't reach those heights in life that you desire as a kid. You can't live in that penthouse in Miami like you told yourself when you were 12, or you see online. But what Ed Milet was saying, this guy is a very credible guy. Look him up if you don't know who he is. But he was saying, imagine a situation in which you reach the end of your life and you are met with God, and God tells you that this is who you were supposed to be. You were supposed to have all of these things in life. He shows you your family you're supposed to have, the cars you're supposed to have, the houses you're supposed to have, the impact you're supposed to have. And he said that God told you that you've been brainwashed, and you had these beliefs set on yourself, these limiting beliefs that didn't allow you to reach that height. And that's a really deep thought for me, because I'm thinking, like, you do get brainwashed by a lot of influences in your life. Every parent wants the best for their kid, but me personally, my parents, when I told them I was dropping out of college, when I burned all bridges and I told them I was just going fully in on entrepreneurship, they were a little bit supportive, which I'm very grateful of, but they were trying to get me to veer towards a more realistic route, and they were telling me, you can't expect this outcome you want. And me being an egotistical 19-year-old, I thought it was going to come a lot quicker, but I now realize that this journey is much longer than I imagined, and I'm accepting of that. I'm accepting of how difficult it's going to be, even though I have no clue how difficult it's going to be, even though I've gone through so much shit in the past year just being on this entrepreneurship route, and I have no idea how harder it's going to get. And my parents, they just want the best for me, but they were trying to veer me towards a more realistic route. And the sad thing is it's the people that you love in your life that tell you that think more realistically. You can't live in that big penthouse that you want to. And again, I'm riffing off to so many different points here, but taking it all back to the original thought that I had with being able to even just spend one night out with my girl. That shouldn't be a gift, bro. I'm trying to work towards a future where every day can feel like that. Every day I can feel like I'm giving her everything I have, and, you know, spending quality time with her. Because I respect the hell out of her for working as hard as she is, and I myself obviously am working extremely hard to be able to provide a life for me and the future family that I will have. But I just don't sit right with that. I don't sit right with the dream state should be taking your spouse out once a week, once a month. I've even heard. These are just off conversations I've had with older individuals, and they say you should be grateful for that. And I'm extremely grateful to even have a girl to provide for, and a girl who is by my side, who's loving. But that shouldn't be how it is. That shouldn't be the standard. Everything in life is a standard, and I have my standard extremely fucking high. Anyways, boys, just want to get that off my chest. And if this is your first time watching me or my channel, I do something called Gumption Talks, where I kind of just do a raw talk, sit down with a camera in my car right now, which I've been waiting to get gas, sitting at this gas station. I'm at fucking 7 miles right now, so I definitely need gas. But yeah, I hope something I said today maybe spoke to you, and you see it in maybe a different light now. And I know my head is definitely just spinning with thought and just questioning everything I've been told throughout my life. I'm gonna go ahead and close out this video here, but I really appreciate y'all watching this far up into this video. Other than that, I will see y'all boys later. Peace.